Okay, we will start off. Commissioner Mason, would you like to do the invocation, please?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come this day, the day that you have made, to do the business of the Housing Authority of the City of Sarasota and to do your will. We ask your divine guidance in all of our deliberations and discussions. We ask that you keep us civil and kind to one another as we conduct this business. In your name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call. Commissioner Taylor.
Madam Chair, people can hear me. I have no audio.
He said he has no audio.
Commissioner Cologne. Commissioner Merritt.
Here.
Commissioner Finger. Here. Commissioner Mason.
Here.
Commissioner Morgan. Here. Commissioner Roman.
Here.
City Commissioner Jen and Hearn Koch. Here. And Hearn Koch, thank you. Okay, can I have a motion for approval of the regular board meetings for March 26th? One. Any second?
Second?
Second.
Didn't get any.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Approval of the minutes for a regular board meeting of March 26th? Second?
Second.
All approved?
Finger and
Any
Yes.
any nays?
Commissioner Meredith, I'm sorry, Madam Commissioner, was not present.
I'm sorry?
She said you weren't.
I wasn't here last time?
No, you wasn't.
I'll second
My
it.
bad.
I'll second
Okay, can we also have approval for agenda?
Wait, we have to vote, and he has to vote present.
I was actually all present.
Present.
All righty. Approval of the agenda for today? Have a motion for approval?
Second.
All ayes?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, we have a special presentation of future scholars. All right, let's get to business.
Michelle.
Yes. So Future Scholars is a program through the Education Foundation and Planet, and we have some of our young people here who participate in and are benefiting from their support and our partnership with them. And so Ms. Anaya Walker and Lordana Guillaume are going to tell us a little bit about the work they do through the Future Scholars and other programs, college success coaching, and if we have a quick minute, I'll let them introduce themselves as well.
Oh, my name is
Wait,
Sam.
not yet.
And I think the board knows, but Michelle Steers is our Director of Resident Services.
Yes.
Sure. What do you think? Just stand up and talk to you all?
Yeah,
Or
that'd be
stand in the
fine.
back, or here?
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Anaya Walker. I am,
Actually, if you want to go over there.
okay, no problem.
Camera.
No problem. I am Anaya Walker, Director of Student Programs at the Education Foundation of Sarasota County, where I've been since September. Prior to joining, I was in higher education, working at University of Tampa almost 8 years. As Director of Student Programs, I lead our student support team, which includes amazing people like Lordana, who's a student success coach. And we do a lot. Our focus is supporting the public school, students in public schools, and specifically high school students. So we serve high school students in Sarasota County. That does include students who are in charter school. And our future ready work is all about preparing students for their next step after high school. So we have universal support. So we do have workshops. You'll see us at different college fairs advertised. But really our Future Ready Scholars program is a comprehensive support program to give students dedicated wraparound support. that personalized support with their steps for after high school. So we have plenty of workshops, and students can just kind of come in and out, but we like having a dedicated group of students, like with the partnership that we can have, to work with these students over time and to really give them that personal support. I'm actually not one of the folks who on a day-to-day is connecting with these students, so I would rather Donna talk a little bit about, kind of how the partnership started, what you've been able to accomplish with these students, and maybe some growth you've seen in them since working with them.
Thank you, Anaya. So my name is Lordana Guillaume. I'm one of the student success coaches, similar to Anaya. I have a background in higher ed. Before working with the Education Foundation, I worked at SCF, so I have a decent knowledge, but I'm not native from Miami, Florida. I like to describe the partnership with Michelle and the Ed Foundation and Planet as the perfect partnership. It started, I think, with one question, and it was, I have 3 college-ready students here. Can we come? I have some questions about an application. And we were more than thrilled because we want students to come. We have so many resources. We have an open office. We have Wi-Fi, computers, snacks, and all we're looking for is students to take advantage of the resources that we have. And during that first initial session, I think we set up Common App. We did all of those, and Michelle said, could I bring them in once a week, and she'll drive them over, or sometimes they'll drive themselves. And I said, of course. We would set up a time, a date, and we plowed through their college applications. All the kinks and all the nuances that a school counselor might not have the time for, like trying to figure out SAT, trying to reach out to the schools, we were able to have the manpower to be able to do that. In addition, I believe Andrea and Chandrea, they took advantage of our testing workshops. And I think the biggest thing I felt was I wish we got to meet them sooner so that they'd be able to take advantage of more of what we provide. But in the amount of time, I felt a sense of confidence. In the beginning, there was a little bit of overwhelm. I think just trying to navigate the college application process is a lot. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of acronyms, everything. So I was more than happy to be able to be like, what does this mean? How do I do that? And quickly, I'd be able to answer. And Michelle knows that she always has access to me by text. I think the cherry on the top was when Anaya did come on board. She came on board maybe a month or 2 after we had first met, and we were getting ready to launch Future Ready Scholars. So they got to know us at a really good time. And I wasn't there during the actual field trip to FGCU. I don't know if you can share a bit more about that.
Yeah. So I mentioned workshops, but again, it's one-on-one support these students can get. We have scholarship database online. We do a lot. And one of the things that we did for the first time this year was a free college tour. So we had 24 students in our program, all high school students, and that did include some students in 9th grade as well, that early access. Got a chance to go visit Florida Gulf Coast University. We provided transportation, t-shirt, lunch. Y'all were there, right? And we had a good time, right? Right? And it was great because there were students on the trip who had already applied and been accepted. There are students who are 9th grade still figuring out what that even means. But that was our first of many. So we definitely want more students who are not in this room to be a part of that. And another highlight that is very important for you all to know, our community center is walking distance from here. We walked here. So keep that in mind. We have our community resource center. It's called Launchpad for You on Boulevard of the Arts. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. So that does mean students can come in after school and get that extra help. We do workshops and programs over the summer. We're gearing up for a free summer bridge program as well. So lots we can talk about. Michelle has our contacts. We are also across the street if you ever just want to walk in. We're open and just talk about your child's needs.
And I'll wrap up. I'll just say one of the highlights of the school year has been working with your students. So it's just been a joy, and I'm not going to put her on the spot. Well, I will. But Chandrea has seen me almost every week since maybe October, November, and I'm extremely proud of everything that she's been able to do. So we've been more than happy to be a funnel in her success.
So I would just like, I know we don't have a lot of time, them to introduce themselves. So these are our younger students, freshmen and sophomore. They went on the college trip. They're enrolled in the Future Scholars Program. And these are our seniors. And girls, if you could just introduce yourself and tell them where you're graduating from and where you're headed.
Oh, okay, sorry. Hi guys, my name is Quinaya Curry. I'm graduating from Booker High School, and I'm going to the Bill Cookman to major in business management.
Okay, yes.
Hi, my name is Andrea Village. I'm graduating from Booker High School, and I'm attending Duquesne University on a full-ride scholarship.
Yes.
also attend Booker High. I'm going to Florida International University to study health sciences.
Woo! And I just want to say that imagine being me and you have all these amazing young people and you want to see them succeed, but you're one person and there are many and their needs are extensive and many, and I can't say enough about a partnership like this because I spend a lot of time with them and sometimes I know the answers and sometimes I don't and sometimes I have the time and sometimes I don't, but I can text Lordana just about any time if she has to. She hops on a Teams meeting with our girl. Like she said, Chandrea has spent an incredible amount of time with her. I just can't say enough. I'm so grateful. I'm so proud of them. And then these guys are next.
There it is. Yeah, we're
They're
going to be
next. 4 of these students are also in the Take Stock program. So they're getting Take Stock scholarships as well. So,
Chandra, how did you get to see Florida International?
Get to see
Did you
like.
visit it?
Oh yes, I got to visit with Miss Michelle. It was nice. I really liked it.
So Michelle drove you down there to see the campus, right?
Yes, and I got to learn more about the Golden Scholars program that I'm going to be in and what they're going to offer me.
and so that's a program she was a little late on the deadline for. It's a summer bridge program, but it was a program that Lordana knew personally. And so through a contact she had at Florida International University, despite the fact that the application deadline had passed, she was instrumental in getting Chandra into that.
We have a lot of connections.
Yes.
Good. I have who are the guys?
The guys? Yes. Can you introduce yourself, guys, and tell them what grade you're in and at what school?
They were not shy on the college tour, so I'll say they were not.
Hi, my name is Ashton Watt Johnson. I'm a freshman and I go to Booker High School.
Good. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zakiz Reeds. I'm a freshman at Project Tool.
I'm Delvin Evans and I'm a sophomore that goes to Polytechnic High School.
Okay, good. So,
So, can any of you talk about how going on a college tour as freshmen in high school kind of changes your outlook and perspective and maybe your goals?
Well, when I first saw that university, I thought those were just like bigger colleges, but then I saw like all the stuff they had. It kind of changed my outlook since they had like so much stuff. Since I've seen SCS campus.
Thank you.
I did have one question, Mayor. I was curious on how how students know about this great resource that you have, what type of outreach you are to connect our residents with you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I mentioned that I lead the student support team. So we do have another student success coach who actually spends 2 of her days in the week at Sarasota Military Academy. We also have 3 resiliency success coaches. The resiliency success coaches work with a group of students who are actually most at risk of not graduating high school, and they are actually school-based. So we actually have staff who are in the schools. So we have staff like Rodonna who spend a lot of time in the community. And so a lot of our referrals are coming through our partners that we have at the Education Foundation as well. Existing relationships we had before the program. So although the Future Ready Scholar program started this year, the Education Foundation has been serving the community for decades. So a lot of the students who joined were based on existing relationships we've already had. That's a great question.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Jen Ahern Koch, do you have anything you'd like to say?
The only thing, I'll come up here. The only thing I wanted to share with you all is that I know that there are, I believe, 3 projects that are in the process right now: Lost on Lemon, Amaryllis, and 22nd Street. And I don't know if I have any more information than you have, but I'm happy to take your questions and get them answered if you have any questions or any concerns about any of those projects that are currently going through the permitting process right now. And if you have anything that you want to share with me, I'm happy to relay
Did
it.
we ask for any relief on anything that we're
Yeah,
asking
what
for?
about?
Loss on Lemon,
yeah.
right? So did we get that finalized yet?
I don't. In terms of.
What you were asking for, and I was getting some costs
Yeah.
about what it would be, and then I think there was a question that I posed back in your court.
Okay, I thought I had sent the final breakdown of the costs. Joe, do we have the final?
For the parking,
Yeah,
the street closure?
sidewalk, street stuff.
Yeah, you've got our best estimate, but, and I think we sent it.
Yeah,
Okay, I get that.
I'm happy to do
I
that.
don't think it's changed, but I get it.
Okay. Okay, and then any other questions or inquiries or anything you want me to relay to the commission for anything that's going on now or potentially in the future?
Yes. So, we may need to have a rezone for this property. So, I think the last I heard from Joel Friedman is that it may also include a comp plan amendment.
Yes, I think it does have to include a comp plan amendment.
So, is there a way to expedite that?
There is, yeah,
Okay.
there is. And it has to do with the size of the property. Is this 10 acres?
No.
Okay, so I think it gets expedited if it's under 10 acres. And especially because it's a housing authority, I think it will get an extra little, we can try to make sure that that gets moved along a little faster.
And how do we get that ball rolling?
I can get that ball rolling. I can get that ball.
What property were you referring to?
This one.
This one.
This one? Yeah. So, initially, remember we applied to the state back in December. Initially, when they scored everything, our application was not funded.
Right.
It's still not funded. There is pending litigation. The judge hasn't issued his ruling yet, but according to some attorneys who argue these Florida housing cases before the administrative law judges all the time, they think the chances are pretty good that the result of the litigation, even though we're not party to it, that the result of the litigation could result in our initial application being funded after all. So if that happens,
And does that has nothing to do with the requirement of a certain number of units, right? That litigation.
no.
Right, and it's something else. I think I read that in the minutes, right? It was in
Yeah.
the minutes from the last meeting in March, right?
So anyway, but if we end up getting that funded, we're going to be in a much bigger hurry than we previously thought.
Okay, a comp plan does involve the city having to submit it to the state commenting and sending it back with or without comment. So there is a process obviously involved that we have to follow, but I think as
When
much
does
as
it
we can
not go to
expedite
the
it.
state?
I think it always does.
Because the one we did for Central Gardens, I was told didn't have to go to the state. Maybe that was the acreage.
Maybe it's the
threshold.
acreage too, maybe that. I thought they all did, but I could be wrong. But I can get that started and I can have that conversation going per this meeting here in my role here.
Great.
So I have no issue with that. And is there anything else?
I feel like you're expecting me to say something.
What about the project downtown?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Project is that?
So, what would you like me to find out for you?
If there would be an opportunity for the housing authority to partner or take the lead and make sure that we help provide affordable housing on that property.
Okay, we'll make sure because the city commission is going through a strategic plan right now, and a couple of the items, each commissioner submitted 10 items, and at least 3 commissioners submitted us making that a priority for that property to have that discussion. So a piece of that discussion, what I can relay when we have it, is that we bring the Housing Authority in as a potential partner in that discussion. Is that correct? Okay. That's it. Anything else?
We believe we could facilitate better financing of that deal, which I know.
What do you think the city wants to do? Just where they kind of
Well,
figure
it was
out?
originally purchased so that the city would develop it itself and be we would hire somebody, but, it would be ours. But I don't think anybody in the state of Florida does that. I don't think another municipality does that role. It would be a new thing, so guiding documents, procedures, rules, any guardrails are really not in place. So potentially it's like that for a reason. Maybe it's not a great idea for a municipality to be doing that.
Well, I can imagine the city commission would not want every property management complaint. And I think that's one reason why most cities and municipalities kind of partner, or they let the housing authority do it or another entity do it, because sometimes it sounds awesome, and then when you get to the weeds, it's like
it's not.
And it's not as easy
it's
as
not.
it looks.
Yeah.
Right.
Most cities and municipalities will start a housing authority to do that for them.
Okay, so I will definitely relay that conversation to the city manager and make that part of our strategic plan discussion. If there are any other details or any other information you as a board want to write a letter and maybe give that to William to submit to me to help me with some points. I don't know what kind of discussion you want to have about that, but I would recommend that sooner than later.
Okay.
So you want us to write a letter supporting you in your endeavor to make it one of your priorities?
Yes, but to involve the housing authority, if my understanding is that's what you're. And for what reasons? You may want to list 1 or 2 or 4 or 5.
To facilitate affordable housing that doesn't turn into a slump. We want it to be nice housing, like Lofts, like Numbers.
Or a multi-million-dollar complex.
What was that?
And be more affordable than it was originally
Right.
proposed to be.
Yes, not at 120.
Yeah, it started to look like it was going to turn into market rate housing, which would defeat the purpose.
Wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna now move on to public presentation, and I just want to remind there's gonna be a 3-minute time limit. First one is Miss Valerie Bashad.
You got the title?
You have the time?
No.
Yeah, right here. Is that the time it is?
No.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to bring to attention that when your people do our recertification, they're going through our bank accounts, wherein when they ask for our source of income, and they have our source of income. However, they should not be allowed to, for instance, I loan money to people and they pay me back through Cash App. And they are going through there and double charging, double adding income to what's already my money. Say like if I loan you $50 and you pay it back and it's deposited in my account, my bank, they are calling that income. So that's totally violation. First of all, I think it's a violation because I've given you proof of my income. Okay? So anyway, we really need to deal with that because it's being done with everybody, not just me. Second of all, is that are you all putting residents in those apartments that's supposed to be torn down in the courts? No? Okay. I've been out without transportation. I haven't been able to drive over there, but I was told that somebody was given an apartment over there. Okay, well, when I get my car, I'll see. But and those things continue to happen. So I just want to make it clear. There are rules. I know what they are, but your staff definitely do not have the authority to go through our bank accounts. It's not like we got to have zero money in our accounts, okay? I've asked for a meeting because I'm going by protocol before I go elsewhere. But they need to understand what their job is and how to do it. I don't mind the increase, but don't take my money that you have no right to take. That's all I'm saying. And then we have people, Mr. James, still waiting on an apartment. Okay, he put in the application before the apartments was finished. The man still don't have an apartment to live in. So, and you know, I'm gonna stop right there because
That's a perfect
I'm
plan.
not gonna do
Well, thank you for your
that. Not
concerns,
arguing with
and they
y'all.
will be addressed to you in writing, and we will also, the board will also
Right.
receive
And-
answers. Yes.
And please get it to me some weeks before it's board meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next is Ms. Addie Newsom. Thank you, Ms. Newsom. Could you come up, please? Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, I'm here on behalf of my mom.
Okay.
So my mom's been in Janney Gardens for over 10 years plus, maybe. So she's ill now. She's 85 years old. So I tried to relocate her when they built the apartments on, and I don't know the name of the apartments, but the apartments right across on Orange Avenue. So I think I missed the mark on that. So they said, oh, it's a 5-year wait. So what I did was I waited until they started a new project with the Boys and Girls Club.
Cypress Square.
Yeah. And so I'm going to say I missed the mark, but I got miscommunication. So I went to Janney Gardens' office, and they gave me the form, and the girl told me, she said, all you have to do is get this and take it over to the HUD office on Orange, because she has a caseworker over there. So when I went there, and I said I wanted to put in for relocation, that's when they told me that they only had about 20 apartments that they were going to do like dislocation. So I took that to mean that the people that was in the courts, maybe they had 20 apartments available for them.
25.
So that made me think, okay, so she missed the mark on that. And so I didn't pursue it because they said, for us transferring people over. So I think what should have happened is I should have gave a medical, rundown from her doctor, listing her ailments, because she's upstairs. She's on the second floor. So when she has issues, when they come, they have to try to get her down. I go meet, because I don't stay with her, I go meet her over there. And when I have to go take her to the doctor, that's really what I want. When I go have to take her to the doctor, I have to try to help her get down the stairs. So it's kind of getting difficult now because she can't see that well. She's independent. She lives by herself, and the grandkids, some of them with me, they go over there, and be with her and stuff. So, but anyway, we're at the point where we need to relocate her. And I just don't know where to start with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we can follow up with you on that and go over what the options are, make sure, there may not be anything right away, but we can make sure that we get her on different lists and stuff.
Because I did go over to the one after I realized that she could have been able to move over there. So I did go, but they were saying, it's kind of like when you go there, it's like there's nothing else can be done. Like the one over at on Orange, they say, oh, it's a 5-year wait. So I'm like, okay, what do we do, Because I think she served her time over there at Janney Gardens.
Okay. I'll follow up with you.
Okay, all right.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Okay, all right,
And
thank
we'll surely
you.
get answers.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Okay.
And thank you for your family. Thank you, ladies, for helping with your grandmother. Okay, now we're going to move on to...
She brought back up.
Yeah. Okay. we're gonna move on to resolutions. First is Resolution 2510, whistleblower policy, Resolution 2511, Bertha Mitchell IFB. Do we wanna open for any discussion on either one? Okay, we wanna
I
pull.
want to, pull 2511, because I have
Okay.
a couple of comments.
Okay, how about, do anyone have any questions for 2510? Can we
I move approval.
move approve
I
and
second.
second?
Okay, second.
John, did you want to say something? Okay.
I don't know, we have a whistleblower policy that needs to be altered.
We technically don't have one.
Oh, okay, that's the question.
And then I want to say thank you.
So we're inserting one.
Well, who do they report to if they're a whistleblower?
It's in the policy.
That's not my question. Who do they report to?
What do you mean, who do they report to?
If you have a whistleblower policy, there has to be a policy of what the chain of command is. Do they go to you? Do they go to their, they don't go to their department.
It's in the policy.
Okay, and who do they go to?
Well, I have to read it.
Jesus. I want to call a question.
Yeah, John.
All right, go ahead, call the question.
They can be brought directly to me or any member of the leadership team. And
Fraud hotline.
yeah, there's a fraud hotline on our website.
Okay.
We've had that. That's been out, but
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't read it completely. I have it, I looked at it, but I didn't read it. I was busy with something else.
Okay, so for Resolution 2510, we opened it up and it was approved.
We haven't voted on
No,
it.
we haven't voted.
Oh, okay, so we want to vote.
Call the question. I think Carol.
The question,
On 2511.
Move approval.
2510, 2510 whistleblower policy.
I'll second it.
You second it?
Commissioner Meredith already seconded it.
Sorry.
Oh, okay,
Meredith second.
that's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, now, okay, Resolution 2511 is open for discussion.
So I had a couple of questions. How many of these units are for handicapped residents?
I know we have at least 5 fully ADA because we did a full renovation on those like 3 years ago.
Okay.
So at least 5, but then we also go in and make other accommodations as needed, like grab bars, ramps, and stuff like that.
Okay. And my other, this is a concern. It says that the HVAC is going to be moved from the attic to closet. My recollection of the layout of those apartments, that closet storage space is pretty important to residents. If you take it away, what are they going to do? I lived at 1845 22nd Street, and I don't think it's changed much at all. And so what do they do?
I mean, I haven't, honestly, we've done this, so in all the units that we've remodeled so far, we've done this, and I haven't really heard any complaints about it. It's not the only closet. The one that we're putting it in is not their only closet space. There's other closet space, storage space. And
typically they don't take up, typically, I'm not sure the exact size, but typically, they might be only like 30 inches wide or so, closet units. So typically they go in a pretty small closet. And there's a lot of benefits, I think, to having them inside a closet rather than inside an attic.
Does it take up the entire closet, so that part of it might be available for storage? The storage is important stuff.
yeah.
It's important.
I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
I don't remember if it took up the whole closet or not, but I do know that the HVAC folks are basically saying it's terrible for the unit to have it. And they're also very hard to
work on.
access. So a lot of times, like, if something's going on with the handler, like, you know how they're duplexes. So there have been cases where we've had to go into the neighbor's unit in order to get up into the attic to access the handler for someone who lives next door.
I get it, and it's a huge improvement, AC, because when I lived
There was no central AC.
there was none. But by the same
We're also
token-
replacing all the ACs, putting in new ones, so.
But by the same token, I still go back to that storage is important.
Yeah.
So if you could get back to me, I'd
Sure.
appreciate it. Thanks. That's it.
I have a
For me.
question about the number of units. I think I read there were 62 units, or was it 67, 62 units that are under this contract.
Right.
Are they the 62 that have not received assistance so far, or has there been some other contracts previous that have done the earlier units?
So we've been,
Just take care of all the units, in other words?
as you recall, 'cause I think you've seen it, but we've had our own team doing like major remodeling, and they've done 20-something units right now. I don't remember the exact number of that, but I mean, and they're continuing to do them. So that's taken a chunk kind of off of this. Although part of this contract will put like brand new front doors on all the units, even the ones we've remodeled.
I got you.
They're, because we needed funding to upgrade the playground, and then we also need funds that are not in this contract in order to put people up in hotel rooms.
While the work's being done.
While the work's being done. We weren't able to fund the full contract to do all the units. So we had a deductive alternate in there. We were able to say, okay, don't do the last 12 units and we'll save, X amount of money. So just to remind the board, we have public housing funding funds left that have to be spent before we convert Bertha Mitchell to Section 8. So, this renovation project has two goals. One is to spend down the funds so we can convert, and then also upgrade the units with those funds that we need to spend down. So any units that don't get done in this contract, we'll be able to, again, do them in the future, either through another contract at some point or through our own mod team continuing to do what they're doing. And they're doing an amazing job. But as you recall, once we convert to Section 8, our annual income will be at least $500,000 more per year than it is now.
So we can finish up what wasn't done,
Exactly.
even as we convert to the RAD program.
Yeah.
How many units are we doing at a time?
We haven't come up with that yet. Once we sit down to talk about the contract, we're gonna talk about staging plan, and like one of the things Lance is gonna insist upon is that they have all the supplies stored on site.
Sure.
So there's no delays in terms of that. We're gonna talk about timing, first of all, how many units are you gonna do at one time? But also, how long do you anticipate each unit taking?
Yeah.
And then I want to be able to say, okay, you're saying 5 calendar days to, let's say, finish each unit once you start it. So we're going to put someone up in a hotel for 5 days. But then if it goes beyond that, we expect you guys are going to pay for that.
Yeah, because I know it gets expensive, like per diem, and then, so you got 4 people and you're paying per diem for 4 people, and
pretty quickly.
So,
Yeah.
so all that's going to be discussed before we enter into contract.
Are you converting all of the gas
Yes.
All units.
Yes.
from
All,
gas to
all the
electric.
gas,
I
hot
think
water
that's-
heaters are going to be
that's a
converted to
good thing
electric.
do.
Because we can't work on
They're too
gas, hot water
complicated.
heaters right now.
Are there any other properties where we could use our units at the properties for relocation?
No.
That's not.
Okay.
I mean, we're thinking it's going to be 5 to 8 units at a time. If it's-
And you think it'll be 5 a week, 2 weeks to?
I think it'll be about a week.
Why are we doing a contract for all of them at one time? Why don't we split it up and do part of it, see how that comes out?
We are. We're going to do it in phases.
Yeah, but we're giving the contract to one company, aren't we?
Yeah, but we're not entering into this full amount all at once. It's going to be.
That's not what I mean. I mean, why sign a document stating you're giving them all the work when if they don't do the work properly or it's not done in a timely fashion, you've already signed a contract. You can't back out of it.
Well, I don't think the contract will be for the entire amount up front.
Because I looked at the bids that you sent me,
Yeah.
and one bid is much lower. And from what I checked with a couple of people in the market, that's in line with the marketplace and the bids that we're seeing. And to be fair, not just the one we're giving, but the other company also bid way out of line. So why are those two bids substantially higher?
Well, first of all, I can answer that.
Good.
First of all, the low qualified responsive bid was very close to the independent cost estimate we came up with on our own with Hoyt. Second of all, when Hoyt interviewed the low bidder, they realized they made a big mistake in their bid, which was that we told the contractors, don't bid on these 30-something units that we've already remodeled. Okay, this contract is not going to cover these units we've already remodeled.
Okay.
Their bid was for
those
just
30,
those
yeah.
units.
So
So we
you-
didn't even want them to bid on to begin with.
But if there was confusion, did you give them the opportunity
Yes.
to change their
We
bid?
had- No, you can't do that.
Why not?
Because it's a.
If you give them bad information.
John, it's a sealed bid. It's a public bid opening. No one can go back and change their bid after.
We can rebid the contract.
But we had pre-bid conferences, we had Q&As for weeks, and they didn't ask one question. They didn't attend the bidders conference to
Oh,
ask
You
questions.
said they didn't attend?
No.
And they didn't ask any
No.
questions? Okay.
So,
Hey, that tells me everything. But the reason I'm questioning it is because the bids were so high and so out of line with what each unit should be in the marketplace. I didn't do a full estimate, but it's a substantial profit built into each one. Substantial.
like I said, I think our ICE was like 3.2, 3.3 million, so it's not that far off from that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it's good to get information, commissioners, on the bid process and everything, but what I heard, I think, was it's a sealed bid, right?
Yep.
We had the conference that anyone could attend. And we had an independent cost estimate, right?
Yep.
I think it's good to get questions answered, but the process, from what I heard, was followed correctly.
Best we could.
I just don't know why it's so much money. It's a lot.
At least we had an estimate done.
I can't answer that.
And it sounds like it.
Did you talk to Jack's firm?
Let me
about it?
let me also.
Did you talk to Hoyt, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're our
ran it.
architect.
They ran it, and it sounds like your estimate was in line with it.
It was very close.
So,
And let me remind the board, this has been a very frustrating process. This is
Not for me.
No, I know. For me. This is the third time we have advertised and gone out for public bid and reached out to
dozens and dozens of contractors, pleading with them to bid on this work. And the first 2 times we did it, we got one qualified bid, and it was way over our ice, and I refused to do it.
Okay.
So this is the 3rd time. We have to get this work done. We have to get the money spent, and we got to convert this property. So
We can't spend the money with our own mod crew?
the last low bid we got on this was $8-point-something million.
Okay.
To give you some idea. So,
What we're talking about, with 62 units is 50,000 or so a unit, plus you're doing all the doors, all the gas, the hot water
they're
heaters.
redoing
and
the bathrooms. They're
electric
redoing the kitchens.
So you're doing all the units with something, and so 62 of them are gonna be in major renovations.
No.
Okay, well,
I'm
I
good.
guess,
Let's vote.
I move that we approve, accept, consent
Let's
resolution 25-11.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Okay.
If I may clarify one thing, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Before we move on. It's good to ask questions, good information. Some of the information was put on the record, I think was very good. And I don't ever want us to get in a position where we are tied because of reasons for big protests. That was my only concern.
I didn't get some of that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, old business. Development updates, redevelopment report.
So I think it's in the board packet, but Jake is here in person, and so is Joe. So
What? We got 2?
we have 2 Fortis representatives with us
It
today.
must be bad.
So if the board has any questions or wants them to update you on any of our progress, we did. You do need to know that week before last, on a Thursday, we did finally close on Cypress Square Phase 2. They've put up new construction fencing, and they should be starting demo
Within a week.
within a week.
See equipment on there, hopefully by the end of this week.
So that was big news. The scheduled closing for Lost on Lemon 2 is June 19th.
That's good.
So we're definitely inching closer to that and lining everything up for that. You heard me say that there's pending, the judge had the hearing and he's received the recommended orders from both parties in this litigation involving Florida Housing and a couple of people, developers who submitted apps. And pending the outcome of what the judge rules on that, which should be probably in the next 2.5 weeks or so, it could result in that application being funded, which was $15 million. So, and what else?
Is that additional
this side,
funds
right?
to what we already have in place?
Yeah.
What would that do to the
Well,
project?
it would be for this project.
You mean for the elderly
Yeah,
site?
yeah.
Oh, I see. I was wondering about that.
And you've probably seen, but J.P. Wiseman, our contractor for Lost on Lemon 2, has torn up southbound Lost on Lemon between 10th and like 8th Street. So even though we haven't closed on that, we're commencing kind of off-site infrastructure work. So that's what's happening
That's what's
there.
going on. Okay.
But that'll save us time once we close, and then they can actually start working on the site. So.
I was not present at our last board meeting, and I wasn't sure if the board if you went over the changes to Central Gardens with the board.
I did
The
not.
design changes, well, there's some pretty substantial changes, so I think they should be updated on that to go over.
Can we?
Hourly pricing.
Yeah,
all
and
the
I don't.
changes that were made.
I don't have
This is
those.
and then on the plans on those, I was wondering too, if maybe Jake, we could get a little bit maybe like a large blow up of the units a little bit, because it's a little bit hard to see, even with the PDF, it was a little hard for me to see the kind of redesign. But
So-
I don't know if we can do it in this meeting or not, but I think that everybody should be aware of,
Yeah, and I think, let's give Jake some time to prepare that, but, because I do agree with that. One thing I wanted to let the board know, we had originally budgeted, when we were attempting to self-develop 22nd Street, one of the sources for that was $500,000 in Section 8 administrative fee, admin fee reserves. And so I remembered that recently, and I let Jake know we're willing to pledge those funds to the project. We want to see, what that $500,000 essentially is going to buy in terms of some of the design things that we were, having to modify in order to save money to make the project pencil out.
That's why we need to see the changes.
So yeah, I think it would be good to kind of have discussion about that, Jake. Maybe, do we have a development committee?
In May, there will be one.
Yeah, so maybe at the development committee, we can go through
What
that.
is the date of that meeting?
The Tuesday before the board meeting, so whatever that is, 22nd maybe, 23rd.
Yeah, well, the good news is that we have a meeting tomorrow with the whole design team, because this is a parallel, scattered site track now. That's the big purpose of that meeting tomorrow, is to say, hey, Joel, what's happening with DRC? When's that meeting for the Cypress site? I know we had a really good meeting about the Central Gardens. We've got some general updates there to make in plans. So the meeting tomorrow will be focused on a bunch of items, but one of those touch points will definitely be, hey, we need to prepare all these elements so that by May 22nd, assuming that's the date, we need to, submit for the board so they can see what the changes are.
Yeah, because I was wondering too, like on those changes, if that's gonna, I would assume that affects DRC.
It definitely will affect DRC.
Yeah, so we have to go and resubmit to
The
them.
proposed date is May 20th, if that's acceptable to you.
We can have a presentation
Well,
by then.
That is the week of the conference, right?
No,
Oh,
I think it's the week
the week
after.
after that?
After.
I did have I have one question about the loss on Lemon, the parking situation during the construction.
Another meeting, apologies.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, ask your question.
Okay, my question is, I know, I'm just not clear on, I just want to find out what's gonna happen with the parking spaces that the residents have there, and that they're gonna have to give them up at some point?
I'll take it. So about roughly half the spaces on site will be lost during construction. So we've got a few off-site options that we're working on. I met with Commissioner Meredith about one of them, and we've got a couple others in process. So we're working to secure a few other off-site parking options during construction.
Is this for Central Gardens that you guys are talking about?
No.
No, we're talking about loss on Lemon,
The parking.
the parking.
Lost.
Loss on Lemon. Okay.
Those are the design plans he was talking about?
That's for
That's for
Cypress Phase 3 at Central Gardens.
So he was talking about Central Gardens, and then.
And she asked
And
a
then I asked
question
about, yeah,
about
I'm
loss on
sorry,
Lemon.
I apologize.
Okay.
Come on, you gotta keep following.
Yeah, I just want to know about the loss on Lemon, okay.
I don't believe it. They gotta be good.
Thank you.
That whole show on.
Okay, next would be the public art donation from City Public Arts Collection.
Yeah, so I handed this out. I didn't print enough for everybody so we can share. But this artist, she, I guess, has been in discussions with the city public art director, Sierra, who we met with.
Not close enough.
And she wants to, especially when she heard about Lost on Lemon and the fact that we housed 15 teachers there and Hometown Heroes, she was really pretty excited about that. And she wants to donate two of these, what are they?
Sculptures.
Flower tree sculptures, thank you. To the Lost on Lemon site. And so our chair and Commissioner Colon and I met with her over at Lofts, and we kind of looked at the site, and she does feel like, and this is kind of true for all the public art, but they want it to be like visible to the public, not like hidden back inside the property where no one sees it. And so we identified a great spot for it just inside the fence near the entrance where there's like a little dog park there. But it would be very visible there from Conway. And then because of the construction that's going to be going on, we may want to, I think we kind of agreed we would wait until the end of the Lost on Lemon 2 construction, but then we would put the other sculpture on the far east side of the park that would be visible on Lemon Avenue. But I told her I wanted to, before we start finalizing like an agreement with the artist, there's like a donation agreement and stuff, I told her I needed to bring it to the board for...
if it's for free, it's for me. And then we're going to
Then you see the price is...
I saw that. I'm like, what?
So,
That's freaking out of the hard prices. One of the things that, of course, I worry about is liability to the housing authority. So I wanted at least one of the pieces placed in an area where it wasn't easily accessible to children. And that's why the front piece near the door is going to be near the park, in the dog park, which is fenced in, and there shouldn't be any children playing.
It's going to be in the dog park. Is the
Yeah.
dog going to treat it like a fire hydrant?
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, dogs got to go too.
Yes.
it's got a big
So
concrete
the kids-
base under it.
Huh?
So the kids?
Yeah, but the kids don't go in the dog park. Unless their parents like to go home with feces on their shoes. So, we'll figure out where the other one's going to go later.
Do we need to make a motion to
Do we need a motion?
accept the donation?
I think it would be good.
I make a motion to accept
Second.
two sculptures.
You can't all second it.
Dwayne seconded.
Oh. Okay, Dwayne.
I like
We'll need a donation from you to help it along.
I'll throw my
Proceeds
quarter
of
in
your,
on it.
once you close on your house.
Okay, so all-
Donate some of the proceeds.
No questions?
No questions? Okay.
I'm all in favor. I like it.
Okay, let's move on to
She
new.
doesn't
We
like it.
didn't
No,
vote.
you don't like it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All, any against? Okay. Let's move on to new business, which is none. And then program updates accepted by consent. A through G. You have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All ayes?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, we open it up for commissioner announcements and comments. Commissioner Mason?
The only thing I have is this next year in March, when it is fair time, I'd like this board to take a minute and go and see the projects, these kids, the plants they grow, and then they auction them off, but I think we owe them that. They're off in a big tent, not the midway stuff, but off the midway, and I think just the support.
When's that coming up?
Not too much.
It's
it already happened?
It already happened.
Yeah, it's at the county commission, right?
It's at the county
It's
fair?
county
Yeah, the county fair.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
So I'll bring brochures.
But it's quite a process. You can't just show up like at the time the plants are being judged. Like they have to go up there and enter the plant like months before, and they tag them, to make sure like people don't just like go buy a more matured plant and say, hey, look what I did.
Yeah.
So there's a real process to it, and they invest months and months into it, and we've had more and more youth participation in it each year.
Yeah.
So.
I've been on the fair board for now about 16 years, and it is the first time I've seen a 4-H group from this neck of the woods, and I think I think it's great for the kids, and I think it's great for the housing authority, and I think we should at least go take a look, see.
I agree.
At what they're doing.
I agree. I didn't go this year, but I went last year.
Yeah, it was great.
It was good, yeah, okay,
I've been to them as well.
yeah. Okay.
I'm good.
Commissioner Finger?
I'm good. I just want to say one thing. This is my last
God.
meeting I will attend in person. So, because I'll be heading off to Vermont tomorrow. And I wanted to say it's been a fabulous journey from 2005 to 2025. And John has been with me most of that time, I'd say, all of that time. So he's going to be the senior man at that point. And we'll ways in one.
Thanks, Dwayne. I really
Anyway,
appreciate that.
Thank you all for being such great partners.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank
you,
you for all
Joanne.
the time you served. You've been a great asset to.
And I will be attending the next meeting or two by Zoom. Until I need to find out when they're going to appoint my replacement.
I
Because I
told,
can still attend
yeah,
by Zoom.
I told Commissioner Mason today about something we're gonna do for you, but we'll
But
put
we
it.
won't tell you,
Yeah.
but we're cooking up something.
Yeah, we have it planned, and we're gonna get it done and ship it to Vermont for you.
As long as it's not edible, I'm on board.
It's not edible. Oh, okay.
Come back for.
Well, anyway, I'll get it to you one way or the
Yeah,
other.
okay, I'll keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne.
First thing I say, thank you, Commissioner Finger, for your service. We appreciate you. Thank you. It's been wonderful knowing you.
Make sure I get your address. Next time I come up to Vermont, I want to come up and harass you.
Yeah, come on by.
What part of Vermont? What part are you moving to?
Killington,
Oh, you kill it? Oh, excuse me.
on the mountain.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Okay.
Fair
Right near
disclosure.
Woodstock and Rutland. It's
Yeah.
about 15 miles in direction.
My son went to school there, so I know the area well.
Thank you for your long-term service, Commissioner Woolridge.
You said thanks for your long-term
Oh,
service.
well, thank you.
You can
Appreciate
take a
the
high
whole
level of
time. You've been
abuse.
around the whole time as well.
Okay, I would just like to say, we haven't had a retreat with the commissioners this year, and I'd just like to throw that out there to see if we can get some dates and times on one, if it's okay? Just to think about it, maybe we can go over it. Okay, that's it for me.
And do y'all want to do it at Lost on Lemon, 5th floor again? Okay.
All right.
Would you want to discuss a date now? Get it on the books?
That would be
No,
great.
those some dates out.
Anybody have any dates that they're thinking about?
Do it
I don't
sometime
have to right now.
in June?
Okay.
Everybody around in June? Everybody going to work?
What does the
No, I know.
commissioner retreat?
Okay.
It's a week-long mountain.
And you come early in the
You
morning,
came
they
to
give you a
it
bad cold
like your
breakfast.
first week on the board.
She
That
did?
was
We
what
went
you
to
were
that, yeah, we went to Lost on Lemon, and we, on a Saturday afternoon. No,
No,
it wasn't her, it was her.
Hey.
It was, no, it was Commissioner before her.
Absolutely was not me.
It was Commissioner before
It
her.
was,
like,
it was Dillard.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
four,
You're
like
right.
4
I knew
hours. We
one of
come
the
in at
movies that
9,
you
and
went
we
to.
stay
Right.
from 9 to maybe 12 on a Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
I just didn't know, so I was curious.
Okay.
How about, we were going to do it on Sunday? Or
No.
Saturday?
Yeah, Sunday's good.
I'm sorry, not Sunday, Sunday
No.
church.
Yeah.
How about the,
Not in my
21st?
country.
What country is that?
how about,
The country of
Ju-
Carolyn J. Mason.
Well,
And
that country.
How about June 21st?
That dog don't
June
hunt.
21st, everyone?
June 21st, okay.
Does everyone want to look at your calendars?
Yeah, we're gonna do it on Sunday, this way Carolyn won't come.
And it would be from 8 to noon?
8 to noon, right. I don't know, I'm going to that conference on the 22nd. I could do it, yeah.
Oh, we do it. What about the 14th then? What did we say in our supposed to conference? How about the 14th?
I don't know yet.
June 14th?
Isn't that a Catholic holiday?
June 14th?
Or 21st? What did I say first?
I know, I'm doing.
You
Yeah,
said
21st.
Okay, so yeah,
Somebody
14th.
else proposed the 14th.
How about 14th?
Mr. Morgan's the only one that's looking right now.
Let's see here,
Questioning
June.
mark on his
Oh, we can't do it that day, that's Flag Day.
That's what I was going to say.
We'll have a flag and we can celebrate. We can make that part of the celebration.
You said the 21st?
Well, I'll
14th.
I'll bring my rainbow flag.
Okay.
It's 8
No.
or 9?
You
8
can't
to
do the
12.
14th.
I cannot do the 14th.
Can't do the 14th, okay.
I mean, I can maybe try to move something around, but if everybody's, we're doing the 14th.
How about the, I didn't want to get, well, no.
Well, I can do 21st if we
sure?
have to, yeah,
You don't mind?
I can.
Because she's got a conference on
21st.
If I can move a few things, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna say the 21st for now?
21st is good for me, I don't care.
Okay.
I got all these kids.
I just have to
I
move
don't
my
want to do
golf
the
game.
28th because that's getting too close. to the
21st from 8 to noon, and then I will get with somebody to see about breakfast.
Okay.
There's gotta be a place around here that delivers.
I think,
That place is
Who
big
did
up.
it
It's pretty
before?
good.
what was the place in the corner there, Rosemary?
Yeah, the
What
place that
about
says
the- oh, you know,
Cold
That's,
Food.
that's a
It's the,
new
the station.
restaurant. I just saw it
Yeah,
just,
Station 400.
Yeah, Station 400.
but there's a
I'll
new
pick it up.
spot. I think there's a brand new breakfast spot around the corner of Citrus Square where the Rosemary restaurant used to be.
Oh,
And I think it's like the Breakfast Club or something. And I saw a sign actually this morning when I was driving up
okay, well, let's support it.
north on Orange, and it was like now open or something.
They need to send you to the Breakfast Club.
Let's support any business.
Something like that.
I will look into it.
Did you see
Okay. Commissioner Morgan, do you have anything to say?
No, I just wanted to say, thanks, Dwayne. Hope you have a safe trip, and,
Thank you.
I know, I know the board, we should probably also get ready, I think there's gonna be a lot of weird regulatory changes that are gonna be happening that are gonna make no sense, so we should probably get our minds wrapped around, William is gonna be probably proposing some weird regulatory stuff to us that we just kinda have to go. So,
Is that what happens when you put a football player in charge?
no, it's what happens when you put an AI in charge,
No, that too.
so,
Actually, that was an idea I had. That you could take a statute
sure.
and tell AI to generate a regulation based on the statute
Oh, God.
in plain, easy to understand English.
I think it's better when it comes from a housing person to make housing.
No, I don't disagree,
Instead of
but,
Yeah, I know what the statute was of too.
Instead of
but
putting
instead of
what's on the
having all this superfluous
Yeah, no,
stuff in it that Congress didn't put in the statute.
I get all that, but
I just think it'd be a cool exercise to see what AI spit out.
Excuse me,
Chat
Madam Chair, this
GPT.
meeting is deteriorating. Can we get us back on track?
Quickly.
Commissioner Roman.
And I hate to be the one to say that. I mean,
Go.
far be
John
it
bringing
from
us
me.
back
I
around.
finally say something. So.
Actually, I did have compliance concerns with Cypress. They posted rent increases to all the tenants' doors on a 60-day notice for rent increase on 4/23, effective June 1st, which is only technically 38 days. So, if that follows like HUD's actual requirements as well as like federal and compliance, it could leave us liable if it's not.
What is it, 90 days?
I believe it's supposed to be 60 days, and they
Did
gave us a
38, you
60-day
said.
notice that is only 38 days.
Gotcha.
Well, you said 37.
Doesn't matter.
37, 38.
4/23 to 6/20.
It's less than 40.
Are you counting the 23rd or not?
It's less than 40.
But then with those rent increases, right, like, does that still keep those units affordable if they're now at the highest market standard rate
Yeah.
for those units?
So the way the federal policy reads is if it's a tax credit unit and it's assisted with a project-based voucher or, project-based voucher, they can charge 110% of the fair market rent as the rent. So that is permissible. Generally, that shouldn't necessarily mean that a resident pays more than 30% of their income, though. But
Right. So then I guess it would more so be, right, like a 60-day notice.
because if it's within our payment standard, then our subsidy will increase also.
Right.
So it shouldn't necessarily burden the tenant unless there's
Any increase.
different circumstances.
Other factors.
Yeah.
Any increase is
Right.
going to benefit the tenant.
And then, I mean, the second concern was as far as like reporting income and income computation. I mean, I was recently giving a internal policy for Sarasota Housing on child support. And I've actually found a contradicting policy in Sarasota Housing's guidelines, but if the income's not being received, that has to be considered per HUD guidelines.
Sounds right.
Wait, say that again?
If the income is not being received per HUD guidelines, that has to be considered instead of counting income from previous years. Right, like the policy that I was given basically states that child support is only considered at recertification, right? Like it's not considered if there's a decrease or increase during the year. However, if I were to receive an increase in child support, I would be responsible for reporting that to HUD guidelines, and my rent would decrease. It's income.
Not during the year, though.
It's,
But, and
So,
then-
so like,
is this personal?
yeah, semi.
Oh.
so our policy, and this is for everyone.
PHA policy.
Yeah, everyone on child support, is that we look at, so for a while it was, you know, I think the HUD policy and our policy was whatever the court order says, that's what we're gonna count as income. But that was changed because not everyone receives what the court decrees. So now what we do is a 12-month look back. And we say, okay, what did you receive in actual child support past 12 months? That's what we're going to use to calculate your income. So if you were in in the 12 months, let's say following your recert, if you received much less child support than you did in the prior 12 months, then that will also be, we'll use that to calculate your next year's income and rent. So your income would go down according to, like if you don't get a penny in child support, right, from June through June of next year, then that we'll look back on that 12 months and say, oh, you didn't get any child support, so we're not charging you any income for that. But it's whatever the previous 12 months are, and we've done that consistently for everybody.
So the policy says though, like if a family reports a change that is not required to report, which would be considered child support, and that it would result in a decrease in the family share of rent, that the PHA will conduct an interim reexamination.
I can't speak to that, but that has not been our practice.
I mean, that I know, because that policy right there directly contradicts 7-111.d, stating that a 12-month payment history.
But I think we talked about this, but Yanni is more of an expert on this stuff, and she is willing to accommodate your schedule and discuss this in great detail with you.
I don't think this is really the proper venue to discuss our personal business.
Oh,
It's
but
not
I-
personal,
oh,
it's
but
an
I
overstatement
do.
of
I
income.
think it is because
I just
she's
happen to
not
be
the
a
only
tenant, so it
resident
is
that's
personal.
probably going
Absolutely.
through
It
this.
kinda ties
And
into
she
what
is
Ms.
the
Valerie was
resident
saying.
representative.
Okay.
So I think it's very prudent.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I meant in the context of it's her
I mean,
private
I-
business. And,
She doesn't
you know,
mind.
Okay, that's your call.
Apparently.
If I may comment, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I believe this is more of a policy issue because it affects more than.
Right, policies that don't align with HUD guidelines.
So I would suggest, William, with your staff, to look into this and just report back, obviously report to the commission or report back to the board. I agree. On your findings.
Well, they gotta be aligned with them. Some guidelines.
Well, there's also a few stuff like, I know like on PIH notices that have come out on this previously, so I know some of them have also changed, so what you can look in a federal register isn't necessarily gonna be the guidelines, so to speak. So I know, I don't know what PIH notice is, but they allow for, it's like called streamlining, and that's what the Housing Authority was trying to do, which is essentially it's like if you believe like a seasonal worker or seasonal like I said, seasonal work or child support payments or something like that, that's what they were trying to do. Is so instead of every time it goes up or down and you're asking to come in for a recertification, like that was the whole intent and purpose behind the whole streamline verification of income, is what they're going through.
I mean, I do understand that, right? But at this point, like, my income is being overstated,
Sure.
and there's no refunds, right? So $5,000 that is not being received in income.
Yeah,
is
and I think,
being
I mean, we gotta have
considered
something in there for like
income.
hardships or extenuating circumstances, I would imagine, you know, like if it goes from, you know, even on like the streamline, like you go from something extreme, the idea is there should be some thresholds in there, so it's not, you know, like in your case, you're talking about something which is significant, right? But I think what they were really trying to make sure is, like I said, all of a sudden
It wasn't over, small menial payments.
it's like, yeah, all of a sudden you go 1 month and
Pass-through payment.
you're like, ugh. And previously, that's what residents would have to do every single time it went up or down. If it was like within, I forget what it was, like $50 or $100, which changes your rent like $1 or $2, and they were coming in every single time. But I do think it needs to be corrected, but I just wanted to, you know.
Yeah, and if we look into this and we feel like perhaps the policy should be changed,
Sure.
I need to bring that to the board so that we're not.
Do we have hardship exemptions, do you know?
I mean, we do. I don't think we do for
I haven't seen
income
that.
calculation.
Do our guidelines have to align with us? I thought they had to align together.
I mean, in some cases they have to, and in some cases we have some flexibility.
Is this one of those cases?
I don't know if this is one of those cases, but
I mean, in theory, right, if the payment were to increase a significant amount, say, it went from a menial amount of $25 a month to maybe $150 a week, that's income that's not being counted, so their rent, right? Like, ultimately, it's fraud on some level because they aren't reporting their increase in income.
Well, like I said, next year when we look back on your previous 12, we're always going to look back at the actual income you had.
We deal with people who live paycheck to paycheck.
I know, but on a year-to-year basis, we're going to calculate it based on what you got. So some years that may be higher, some years it may be lower, but if it was lower last year, that's going to benefit you. If it was higher the last 12 months, then you're going to have more rent to pay based on that income. But it's always going to even out based on the last 12 months of actual income.
Maybe the policy could change though. You could look at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
You could do something where there's a dollar amount, so you don't have the people
Right.
like a $25 thing.
That's what I'm saying, like,
Anything over like $300.
If we look
that's
into
gonna be
if we look into this and we feel like we need to have a different threshold or something like that, then I would want the board to adopt that so that we apply it
Right.
consistently. This is what we've done consistently to everybody
But I think what she's
until
saying,
now, and if we need to make a tweak to it, it needs to be
but she's
policy.
concerned about the effect on the individual.
Sure.
You know, the
No, I
fact
know,
that
I know
they might end
exactly.
up paying $25 more a month for 6 months. $25 a month's a lot of money for people who are living on very restricted.
I know.
And I-
And I acknowledge
And I
like,
I'm just saying we should be.
I understand her
able to do that.
frustration because it's like, well, I haven't gotten any of this for like, what, 4 or 5 months or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand the frustration, but I can't say, oh, I agree with you. We're not
It's gotta be
gonna,
policy change.
we're gonna do it different for you than we've
Have a
done it
policy.
for everybody else. And I have to,
All right.
because that's when we start getting compliance.
And that's why I wanted, to address the concerns related to, policy versus HUD guidelines.
Okay, good, thank you. 'Cause I remember when I was in Section 8 and with the child support thing was an issue too, with going down to get the information too, to say that you proved that you didn't get it. That it was always a big hassle.
I'm in a different, my child support's in a different state. I don't know what it's like to deal with
Well,
child
mine was
support.
from, I had mine transferred here and it was like, so, okay, thank you. Commissioner,
I'm good.
you okay? Okay.
I had one more thing. There is something in front, should be from Ms. Williams about,
Marketplace.
yeah,
Units.
and I think, what I think the protocol is that, William, you've been meeting with Ms. Williams.
I've been speaking with her. I've also spoken with Robbins, the commercial broker, and I've also spoken with the manager of Janie's. As you know, the housing authority doesn't control the marketplace, but I know that the one of the original tenants is the convenience store across the street, right? And they have a long-term lease. This concern has been brought up at Newtown CRA meetings. That, it just looks like there's this blank space that's not being used, and, what are we doing about this? But the problem is they have a lease, a long-term lease, and they're paying the rent on it. And it looks like they're only using half the space, but they are using the other space that they're paying rent on for storage purposes. So unfortunately, there's definitely nothing we can do, and I don't even think there's anything Janie's can do about that.
So all the other spaces are full?
Yes, but I told Miss Williams that we think another space may be coming open, and I've talked to the manager there and just said, she's really wanting to get in there. So I'm trying to get them to work with us to help.
They're just using it for storage?
Part of it. Part of it is a cafe.
Oh, okay.
And part of it is
So
storage.
it's an open cafe?
Yeah.
So what does she want to use it for?
I'm not sure.
And are we getting,
Yes, we are reading
What?
almost on an hour and a half.
I'm sorry.
are we about to take that space over soon? Are we getting that back?
Business.
I thought we were gonna have all phases.
Oh,
That's
hub
the
center.
same too.
Business.
Phase 2, it will be sometime next year.
Okay, so we are getting that soon. Because that marketplace has been a disaster from day one. So, as far as rental, it's been ridiculous. So glad we're getting it.
There's
back to
reasons for that, but
Yeah, I know there's a lot of reasons, but
But still.
They didn't, I won't get into the reasons, some of the reasons why, but it was the time of the meeting, but.
We had an attorney
It
in
wasn't,
there, and I don't
it
even
wasn't
think
done
she's there
right
anymore.
from day one. It wasn't
No,
right.
that's the space Miss
The terms were
Williams
not
wanted.
right in the
Oh,
first
the
place
corner
for
space.
individuals in our community to rent that space out, so. As a, anyhow.
Okay, we'll close this meeting, adjourn. At 5:55.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Commissioner, or Attorney Gilmore.
Attorney Gilmore, thank you.
All the businesses are small.
Got a show to get.